Hello, everybody. It is Badger Wild, and we are back with another Space Engineers ship classification video. This was a request of y'all's. People started saying they wanted to know what was a good dropship. What was the design? What made a dropship a dropship? And the problem with a dropship is the closest thing that you have in modern era to compare it to would be either some type of VTOL aircraft, basically, or a small craft that can drop troops into an area, or a landing craft. So where an assault ship, it's kind of like the smaller version of an assault ship. The difference is it provides very, very limited, very minimal support, and can also provide support in an active conflict. So without further ado, let's get started here. So probably the best example of an actual dropship, and we're just going to go into sci-fi over this. Probably these are the best examples right here. First up, we have the UNSC Pelican. If you guys have seen this in Halo, played Halo, this is an iconic ship. It is more iconic than things that should be a lot more devastating. The only thing more iconic than this that is Halo is either Master Chief's armor or the assault rifle. So yeah, basically what this is it's a lightly armored transport or troop transport with the capability of heavy lifting large vehicles. We've seen these things move in game. We've seen these ships move tanks, warthogs, just about anything you want it to move. And in the Halo Wars, this thing was even able to move the giant Grizzly tanks, as well as some troops. Inside, it's got transport for troops, and this is something you can do with your dropship. You can either have atmospherically pressured dropship zones, or crew compartment, or I want to say crew storage, but that doesn't sound really proper right there. Riding capacity, or troop capacity, we'll put it like that. Sorry, brain's not working that effectively right now. Or you can have it unpressurized. In some instances, you do have something like this. Now the question I'm going to get real quick is a dropship a gunship? And no. A dropship has gunship capabilities. It can. But if we were to do like real world examples, and that's why we're getting to this one next, real world examples would be the Huey, the Black Hawk, the Chinook. These don't necessarily are always armed, but they can transport. They would be considered like a dropship. The idea is grab a couple troops, drop them into a zone, then get back out, and then come back and pick them up. Extraction and dropping. That's the whole purpose of this. This is just on an atmospheric level. In other words, we're increasing the range of the dropship from just a couple hundred, like maybe a few hundred miles on the ground to 1,000 miles to, hey, we're going from orbit to the planet and back. That's what you're doing here. And when I get to the gunship portion of this, the LAAT is somewhat based on another helicopter-like system known as the Mi-35 and 38 attack helicopters from Russia. Now, I say these because if you were to compare those, both of those are considered gunships. They also troop transport. However, the Americans, my country, we have the Apache gunship, and it transports only 2 people at a time. Unless you're the British Royal Marines who just want to strap yourselves to the winglets on the side and fly for the F of it. I mean, that has happened before. But that's the thing about a dropship. You should have, right here we have this, we have cargo for people, troop transport down here. These also had like a secondary variant in the Clone Wars where they had this entire section here taken out, and you could just slap it onto a walker tank or a regular tank, pick the thing up and move it where you need it to go. Usually dropships have two, you're going to see this 2-person design or 2-pilot design, where even though the Pelican itself also, if you look inside here, has 2 pilot seats. The purpose is one guy is going to fly, and this is something with gunships, which really helps out dropships as well, because you have 2 sets of eyes operating at one time. One guy, you can split the difference of what you're looking at. Or in terms of the gunship dropship design, you can have one guy piloting the ship while the other guy takes control of like the remote chin gun on the Pelican here, and he can provide support fire and fire at targets and keep the area clear or beat back the enemy while all the troops run out and start doing their thing. Going further, we're going to be checking out something that, you know, it doesn't have to look like a dadgum plane all the time, because that can get boring. So we're going to go over here to the Terrapin from Star Citizen. This is a pretty good one. Now, it doesn't have any seats inside of it, but if you were to just start adding seats to this, it would make a great dropship. This would make a great command dropship, in fact. There is a variant of dropships, especially with that radome on top, where you can drop a dropship in and it'll have advanced sensor equipment, it'll have advanced communication gear inside, it'll have a smaller than normal combat crew, something like Air Force or Marine One would be a great example of this. If you ever look into what the declassified stuff, like what the government has declassified, please don't go to War Thunder. You're going to get into a whole lot of trouble if you get information from them, probably. I am not endorsing that. Okay. But if you were to look at some of the declassified stuff on Marine One, that thing is a mobile communication system. And you do this with ground stuff as well. If you've got like troop transports, sometimes you will have troop transports. Command vehicles will not be straight up tanks. A lot of times you're going to see a command vehicle be some type of armor personnel carrier, to where it has troops that can defend itself, but it does more communication. The Terrapin is a lot of that. The Terrapin is, hey, we could put some troops inside this thing. We could fly it around. I also love this amazing little extendo door here. I've got to build one of these for one of my builds. That's just amazing. Let's see this thing in action here. Let's click that in. That is just cool. I love it when people build crazy stuff like this. Also, you can have like the tilter thrusters on the back of it and everything, VTOL stuff. There are scripts in Space Engineers where you guys can build that stuff, and the rotors, the individual retro thrusters, I guess is what you would call it, would actually turn and move with it as well. So that creates a really cool option. Over here we've got another dropship that I think is probably a really good one. This one's made by Venom, I believe, is the guy that has built this one. He's basically built a refurbished or a redesigned version of the Pelican, which has much bigger engines, 2 individual pilot seats, and then we've got a myriad of just straight up forward firing guns, rocket pods, a top mounted turret, the ability to grab tanks and cargo, and even better, we have a drop back here, the hatch, so that we can go inside. It'll hold up to about 6 troops plus whatever vehicle you have. So this is something like if you want to fly in, you could just put your 6 guys together, take a small transport with you, drop them in behind enemy lines, and let them destroy some pipelines and F up the enemy. And that's how a lot of this stuff just works. That's how you get the cool part of this dropship, and that's kind of how they're supposed to be. It's kind of like a boat. You got to kind of look at them as like a atmospheric boat, but they have the ability to strike at. They have the ability to not just get you to a much further place, but they operate much more efficiently. It's sort of like a helicopter, basically, but for space. Everything you would expect like a Huey in Vietnam to do, that's what it is supposed to do. How Blackhawks are used, how transport craft in any country are used, and then you have all the other types of transports which have just a little bit more firepower for special forces. So you would have like a Blackhawk with some, I don't know, some Maverick missiles, some Sidewinders, a couple Hellfire rockets, and AIM-1 missiles, and whatever else you wanted to throw on there, plus a turret mounted to the bottom of it so it can fire and provide support. So if your troops are on the ground, they're like, yeah, we're running a stiff resistance. Oh, crap, there's a tank. Hey, we have a Hellfire for that. It's on the helicopter. And that's what you probably should do in that. But it doesn't have to be. Like with the Terrapin, you could easily have the Terrapin just be a ship that lands on the ground, sets up position, and just does its job. Halo had one of these as well, which is just a big set of fans, that big set of thrusters which just drop massive bases. This is also considered a dropship. However, unfortunately, I couldn't find anything that looked like that. And I didn't have an example of it. So if you guys want to do something cool, go check out Halo Wars. If you got it, it is on the Steam store. I would suggest checking it out and just see how those bases are dropped in. the main base. When you actually open up a new base that you can build, when you destroy like Covenant base and you open up a new one, that's when they drop those new ones. Bring in some prefab bases. So like I said, the dropship, it's kind of what you throw in there when you either want to be sneaky or you don't want to dedicate a full assault ship to moving a massive group of soldiers. You can have a couple of dropships and they can just redeploy some troops at a fast rate. Gives them a bit more flexibility and mobility, enabling them to jump from point to point and engage targets. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit me with a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, I am Badger Wild saying stay safe, stay frosty. Thank you guys for the video recommendation. Hope to see more of them, and I will see you all next time.